What's going on, vinyl community and Kiss Army? Welcome to the 7th episode of Council of the Elder, a series discussing the hottest band in the world with Kiss fans and people in the Kiss sphere, hosted by yours truly, the Record Spinner. This episode consists of my interview with Andrew Sgambati. Andrew is a relatively well-known figure in the Kiss fan circles. Most people know him for his fan films, such as The Greatest Show on Earth, Kiss at Midnight, and Rise to It, which are true pieces of art that tell a story relative to the point in history a film focuses on. And you can tell that it was made by a superfan who knows the band inside and out and is able to portray that fandom that a lot of others can relate to. But beyond his fan films, he puts together Kiss anniversary videos from time to time for Bruce Kulick and has produced promotional material for the Gene Simmons Moneybag Soda Company. But Andrew isn't just a video whiz. He also portrayed the Catman in the Kiss tribute band Mr. Speed at one point and was a co-host on the Kiss My Wax / Collectibles podcast. Andrew's most recent project is a film called From Tokyo to You, which is centered on Kiss's monumental Japanese tour in 1977. And if you're watching this video when it goes up, I just attended a special invite-only premiere up in North Jersey on Saturday, November 8th, and it's going to premiere on YouTube on November 11th. So you definitely don't want to miss it, and I was more than happy to have Andrew hop onto the show and talk about the film, as well as his journey in the world of Kiss video. I've done enough babbling, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So let's start at the very beginning. I'm sure your Kiss origin story has been told a million places elsewhere, but tell us, how did you get into Kiss? What stood out? Which albums and tours occurred around the time that you became a fan?
It's actually one of my favorite stories to tell because I feel like I'm part of this lost generation of Kiss fans. In the late 80s and the early 90s, you really didn't have a lot of young kids becoming Kiss fans because they weren't wearing the makeup. They weren't really appealing to kids. So you kind of had your teen audience that were basically listening to other contemporary bands at the time, Motley Crue, Judas Priest, Winger, all those bands. But their little kids were not becoming Kiss fans at the time. So I had a hand-me-down VHS of Kiss Meets the Phantom. And then soon after, I got the Good Times version of Kiss Me the Fan. But I had that, and then I had the comic book, and I just thought they were superheroes. I didn't even realize they were a band until much, much, much later. Because in the comic, they fought Dr. Doom, so I thought, all right, well, there's just a superhero, and I thought it was just like that. So even before I liked music, I became a Kiss fan. And then because I'd been watching fandom and the music was kind of ingrained in my head, I just was like, oh, they're superheroes and they're a band. What could be better? And for me, I just didn't understand why more people my age didn't like the band, because I knew Ninja Turtles and Batman, all stuff was fake, but Kiss actually descended from the speaker cabinets, and that actually happened. So, I never understood why other people weren't as big of a fan as I was.
Wow. That's absolutely tremendous. And then from there, what was around what time frame?
So that would have been
the 90s, or
no, that would have been 87, 88, 89, probably around there. And then obviously once the reunion tour came up in 96, it was just set into overdrive because they were literally everywhere. I remember being in a sandwich shop and begging my mom for the Entertainment Weekly with them on the cover. But they were everywhere. And then in 96, I was 11, so I saw the band for the first time on the reunion tour, New Year's Eve, 96, 97. The Meadowlands, and that shows Circus as a pro shot, so which is kind of cool to have your first Kiss memory, on, I'm not going to say film, on video forever. So that was really cool for me.
That was the Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve, right? Where they kind of appeared on the broadcast?
That's correct. And the broadcast was not even from the Meadowlands. There was a little bit from the Meadowlands, but the song is actually from Atlanta, Georgia, shot in October of 1996.
Oh,
not even from the Meadowlands.
Okay, I did not know that, but that's a great story right there. And then obviously because everything was sent into, like you said, overdrive into 96. What were your recollections when Psycho Circus came out? Being that was first album with the original lineup, and then all the backstory behind that. Was that another level of excitement? Because
it was. It was. I wasn't around in the 70s, and I wasn't even around in the 80s pretty much. So it was exciting for me to get a new Kiss album, fall time, which is time we're in right now. always reminds me of Psycho Circus and being excited for the album, being excited for them being on Fox, and just I was so excited to see this band that I loved come back again. So didn't matter to me then that Ace and Peter didn't play it. Doesn't matter to me now. I still enjoy that record for what it is. And there's still a lot of good. I mean, listen, there's some crappy songs on that record, but there are crappy songs
Sure.
on every record. But I still enjoy "Journey of a Thousand Years," the
Oh,
title
me
track.
too.
I enjoy that time, and it was cool to be a Kiss fan at that time. It was cool to walk into Spencer's and see a bunch of Kiss stuff that maybe you weren't going to see anyplace else. So yeah, I still really enjoy that time, and I still really enjoy that album every now and then.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I always get goosebumps when I hear, like you said, "Journey of a Thousand Years." It's
Mhm.
the way that the string arrangement
Yeah,
copies the guitar solo from
yeah,
the opening title track. Like,
it's
it's just a
cool.
total goosebump moment. But it's funny. So, like, my fandom kind of started around that sort of more so farewell tour period. But at the
Mhm.
time, like the Spencers at my local mall, that was where I got all my stuff. Like, there was little keychains and the figures, like the McFarlane stage sets or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
that
I
was,
had all that stuff.
yeah. And you know what? I kick myself because I opened up all that shit and I
So did I. It's not
played.
worth anything. It
Yeah,
was so mass produced that it's just not worth anything.
yeah,
It really isn't. So
yeah.
people want it to be, and you'll see people like, oh, they're selling a set for $100 online, but it ain't worth that. It just isn't.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to encounter like the Alive set or they call it the Creatures, but it was the Unmasked
It's
period.
not.
If I
It's
saw it
enough.
for like $50, like I would say why not? Just because that's the piece of my childhood.
I still got
But
it. I still got mine.
yeah, and it's funny too. Like it just reminds me because you had your experience with Psycho Circus. When I started to progress as a fan, it was the farewell tour fizzled. Then there was the Aerosmith, and then Rock the Nation, which was my first tour. But then Sonic Boom in 2009, like that was a huge, huge deal for me.
Yikes.
And it's fitting too because the anniversary, because we're recording this in early October, the anniversary of the album's around the corner, and I just finally secured an official vinyl copy from
I've had
Kiss.
one since they came out. I mean, you could buy all 5 of them for $100 on Kiss
Yeah,
Online in
dude,
2009.
I was scrolling through old threads on Kiss FAQ just
Mhm.
because I was trying to figure out like what was the retail cost, and I saw like you got all five for like $125, which
Mhm.
was a sound investment when you consider what
What it
the
is now,
market
yeah.
is like now. I mean, even I think Tom Shannon when I posted about it on Facebook because I got a green vinyl copy sealed for like 250,
That's
and
not
he's
that bad.
like. Yeah, and he's like, dude, if it wasn't for the unofficials that have come out, that would be like a $700-800 record. And I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he might be right about that. He might be right about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's the only record to not be reissued ever
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah. For all the anniversaries and Kiss Online drops that have occurred in the last several years, that album has been dodged. So it's definitely needing it for those that don't want to pony it, but it's so bittersweet. Just like you said, it came out, I remember October 2009. We're nearing the anniversary. I got my vinyl copy. It's so pure. But obviously, so we've covered the Kiss fandom aspect, but obviously you were known in the Kiss video realm. How did you get into collecting Kiss on that format? What were your earliest? I mean, I would imagine it's VHS tapes,
Mhm.
trading, and this and that. Tell us about your sort of visual upbringing when it comes to Kiss.
My visual evolution, so to speak. I
Yes.
used to go to the and you're too young for this, but I used to go to the New York City, New York, New Jersey Kiss Convention at the Rothman Center in Hackensack, New Jersey. It
uh,
was literally a college gymnasium full of Kiss stuff, and video was there. So the first VHS tape I bought, I still have it, is Madison Square Garden, 1977 on the Rock and Roll
nice.
Orchestra. That was the first one I had. So I just always wanted a Kiss concert on video. And I had like exposed and extreme close up and all that stuff, but I didn't have a full concert. So once I got that, I was like, man, this is cool. And then just it grew from there. eBay was in its infancy, so I was buying Cobalt Hall and Houston, all that stuff. And I knew about the Kiss Vision stuff. I knew that was like the gold standard for that. But I mean, at the time, you had a ton of pro shots coming out. You had more contemporary stuff coming out, where like you had your handheld shot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I went to see them at Madison Square Garden in '98, and I was able to buy that show.
That's
Um,
awesome.
at a place called the Rainbow Rockatorium, which was in Brick, New Jersey. So I
Hmm.
was kind of at the right place at the right time, I think.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was able to kind of get things that a lot of people really wanted. And when I was just getting into collecting, like hardcore collecting, it's probably like 299, 2000. I was like really getting a lot of stuff. Basically every holiday or every birthday, I was telling my family and friends, get me a Kiss bootleg. So, and Rainbow Rock Torn was getting out of the bootleg business, so he just sold me all of his master tapes. So I had so much so soon, and it
You
just
mean
grew from there.
you mean master tapes as in what he was using to make all his copies and
Yeah,
distribute?
yeah.
Now, were they like sourced from like inside sources, or was it like one-off copies from the mat? Like,
Well, I'm not going to tell that story
okay,
because
fair enough, fair
if
enough.
you want to know that story, it's actually going to be in my documentary called From Tokyo to You, which is coming out on November. World premieres November 8th, and then it'll be out on YouTube on November 11th for everyone to see. But yes, and I know we'll get into this a little bit later, but we go into this goes deep into Kiss minutia. It really does.
Interesting. No, I am totally intrigued.
Uh,
I hate to say it, like obviously, we have a difference in age. I'm only 28.
yeah,
For me, for the
40.
longest time, especially like when the Kissologies came out, like I thought that was the greatest freaking thing on earth. But then as time has gone on, you hear about, better sources out there and the measures that were taken into restoring some of that stuff.
Yeah, but like, how are you restoring a VHS tape? You just that's the thing. Like, I I hear people, I see things on YouTube all the time where they're like, "Oh my God, master source, this, where's it? It's from the same tape that I got it from." So
Unless that's the master, quote unquote, and then they work their whatever clever wording they want to use.
so dumb.
Yeah, it's such a freaky thing. But obviously, you are relatively well known for your work on your fan films, and you've put out some tremendous work. I didn't tell you
I have.
before we started recording, but I love your work. I mean, between Kiss at Midnight and Hottest Show on Earth and this and that, and also real quick, I
Wait, what
meant
did
to
you
bring
call
it
it?
up. What's that?
What'd you call it?
Hottest Show on Earth?
That's not me. It's the
Wait, wait.
greatest show on earth.
Greatest show on earth.
Come
Oh,
on, man.
dude.
You got to do your research.
Forgive me. Forgive me. One word off. One word off.
Mhm.
But real quick, I completely hadn't forgot to mention we were talking about Loomis. When your name kind of got thrown around, that was at the time when Greatest Show on Earth 2 was
So,
kind of under wraps.
yeah, Greatest Show on Earth 2 ended up being canceled because I received a cease and desist notice from Kiss. And again, I was just trying to protect the brand. So I lied at the time and said laptop was stolen. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I was also promised by people that the cease and desist was going to be, redacted. It wasn't. But I mean, I really think what happened is I think I was selling posters at the time that were signed by Bruce Kulick.
It got too
I was
close.
also promoting it as at the Creature Fest. I think it just got too big, so it died, and it's never going to see the light of day.
Really?
Mhm.
Have any eyes seen it at all, or
Oh yeah,
is it?
oh yeah, of course. But
And
it's never going to be released. It's never going to be shared. I'm never going to send anyone a
okay.
copy. So it's dead, and it'll stay dead.
So, do you think it's just because it got too close to the sort of organization due to Bruce
Yeah, I
Kulick's
think
involvement
so.
that it got pulled? Well,
I
because
think
the
so.
thing with fan films is interesting, just because you're using the footage that whether the band owns it or another entity owns it. How does that work? Is it just a matter of how you conduct yourself business wise,
Yeah,
or
I think so. I think that's it because you have these Star Wars fan films are really popular, and there's like an awesome Kill Bill fan film that's also very popular that edits the two movies together. Not
Mhm.
just doesn't just join them together, it actually makes it its own story. So there's that, but I think sometimes the fans do better work than the official people do, I guess. But I don't know. It's just it's one of those things where the fans do it for the love of being a fan. The other thing too is I went to the Gene Simmons School of Marketing. So for me, I'm always like, well, how can I make this really popular? Because Gene Simmons is supposed to be marketing this. But
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, maybe it got too big. But anyway, it's dead. And it's gonna stay dead.
I got you. Um, my big question is, what served as a source of inspiration for your fan films? Did you like experience certain documentaries or things like growing up that like kind of left an imprint and you're like, that is like the gold standard on what I want to do? Or did you kind of just create your own path?
Well, I think you had a lot of the fans watching the Kiss Vision series in the 90s, and then Dave put out something called the Visual Evolution. So I think a lot of us kind of watched that.
Yep.
And that was, I remember I was driving from New Jersey to Ohio in the fall of 2017, and I was just thinking about what a Kiss movie should be, and I was like just narrating to my notes app on this long drive home. And what that ended up being was the first cut of The Greatest Show on Earth, where I wanted it to bring Kiss Alive 2 to life. So, it was just something that I thought, well, can I do this? And then if I can do it, is it going to be any good? So, and luckily, people seem to enjoy it. So that was really what it was about for me. I'm never going to say that what I do is the best or the greatest. I just hope that people enjoy it, and people seem to enjoy it. So that's good enough for me.
Now, it's funny. You may have answered this question more or less already, but like, with what you had made with Greatest Show on Earth and everything else, Kiss at Midnight and such, do you see that as a hypothetical, like the potential of being the best Kiss-centered film? Or in your eyes, what would encompass as being the essential Kiss film? Like, what would you as a fan want to see?
Well, it's not fair for me to answer that question because I'm such a super fan, for lack of a better term, that everything's so ingrained in me that what I want to see perhaps isn't what the general public wants to see, or perhaps what would get the biggest reaction as far as a story goes. The Kiss 3 documentary, I think, did an okay job. I was looking forward to what Alan Parker might have done when his film came out. But I mean, for me, my favorite tour is a reunion tour. So I always say, my favorite thing is the Second Coming. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, not gonna lie, like I do enjoy the History 2-part documentary series for what it is, but like imagine like a Beatles anthology style thing.
Well, the problem now is most of the people that were there in the beginning are no longer with us anymore.
True.
So, the thing with the Beatles anthologies, even though John had passed, most of the people were there. Most of the original people for the Beatles were there. So, I just don't think that could happen at this point.
Yeah, like it's one of the things that I truly did love about Beatles Anthology, and I to this day, despite the fact that it's 30 years old and we're approaching the anniversary soon, it's coming on Disney Plus. It was them telling their story. I did not have like for example, I pick on the Kiss 3 documentary a lot because it's like I don't need Dave Grohl telling me how important Kiss is. I don't need Tom Morello telling me.
Yeah, I didn't like those two in there either.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the
look,
funniest
I
thing is
love
I
them
love
on the.
Dave Grohl. I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan.
Sure, I love them on their own, but it's like I don't need you to tell me how important this band is. Like,
Right.
I want to hear it from those guys. And obviously, like you said, a lot of the guys that were there are gone. Bill Aucoin is gone, and numerous other notable talking heads, quote unquote, that would have been very fruitful.
Beyond the Makeup is probably one of the greatest ones, and that was on VH1 on TV in 2001.
Yes.
So that was cool because
Yes.
you had Bob Ezrin was there, Bill Aucoin was still there, and I think Eddie Kramer was even in that one as well
He
too, if I'm
was.
not
Yeah,
mistaken. So
that
those are the things that I kind of want to see.
that right there, Beyond the I'll never forget. I came home from preschool,
Oh man.
and and my dad taped it off of VH1, and to this day I will rewatch it a million times. That's probably my
I'm
favorite
old.
Kiss documentary.
I'm old. Just got old.
It's so fucking good.
I got
Oh man.
old.
But with this time around, because obviously Greatest Show on Earth was centered on that was the Largo 77 show.
Correct. Most of it was Largo 77. There was some Houston in there as well, but most of it was Largo 77. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Kiss at Midnight was centered on the Kobo 76 shows.
Yep.
Then you had the Alive, was it Alive 96, which was what, Tiger Stadium?
No, Alive 96 was actually 10 different shows. So yeah, Tiger
Oh.
Stadium was there, but that was 10 different shows.
Okay, so obviously a lot of particular shows and periods have become the focal point of your films.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, from Tokyo to you, why did you choose to do one on Tokyo 77?
Well, I've always kind of been fascinated with this Japanese tour, and what actually had happened is there's that unreleased live album called A Rock and Roll Party in Tokyo with Kiss.
Yep.
And I always thought that was Kiss at their best. They sounded the best. So, and then now we got those two shows, the afternoon show and the night show from Tokyo 77. So the idea for this kind of started way back in 2023 when I purchased this.
Wait.
So
What?
this is a reel of the Rock and Roll Party with Rock and Roll Party in Tokyo with Kiss. There's
Not,
two of these. This is real one, then I got the second reel.
yeah. Is that a copy off the master?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Wow.
is. So look, it says right there. It says it right there. It says copy. It says right there.
Oh my god, dude. That's
So
cool.
when I got that, I kind of was like, man, I was like, what's the history of this? And then, I started looking into the history of that, and then I realized there was a story to tell. So the initial idea behind this documentary was to show how I came into possession of this reel, which really wasn't all that. I mean, you'll see it in the movie.
Yeah.
And then it was to talk about the story of Kiss in Japan. So I was like, all right, cool. I could tell the history of Kiss in Japan. And then I could tell the history of this show because this show has been everywhere. So I planned 2 interviews for this. And then I ended up doing 28 interviews for this movie. So I
Wow.
conducted 28 interviews for people that were either key players in the actual going to Japan, or people that actually saw, Kiss in Japan, because this show was on HBO in 1979. It was a
That's
big
right.
deal. So people that saw that for the first time. So just, some of the people that are in this movie, we got Barry Acom. He was Paul and Ace's guitar tech. He has some awesome stories. Bill Baker from the Fractured Mirror tribute band. He kind of works into the later part of the story. But then we have, Charlie Benante, John Humphrey, John Five. There's so many cool people that are in here that are talking about not only their days of Kiss collecting, but how this show kind of influenced them, and
Yeah.
how that kind of changed their fandom. I mean, there's people that said that this was their entrance into fandom, was seeing this show on HBO.
Wow. Yeah, I can
So,
imagine for those that grew up at the time, like how influential that was, whether it was catching it on HBO or just coming across it elsewhere. I can see how it would be a tremendous thing. Um,
so it's not just talking about just Kiss in Japan, because obviously there is a history.
mhm.
There is definitely a history portion in this, but the show was on the show was on a program called the Young Music Show, which
Yep.
was aired in Japan, and then that same thing came over to Western audiences as just live in Japan. But this concert was shown literally around the world. It was in cinemas in Canada. It was in
What?
cinemas in Australia. So I actually interviewed fans that saw it in theaters in both of those countries, and they share their thoughts on those. But this show was everywhere. So once I did a ton of research on this. So once I realized that there was a story to tell, this was just bigger than just one concert, I knew that it needed to be its own documentary. So From Tokyo to You is a much bigger story than just concert footage. In fact, there's so little concert footage in this documentary.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. See, now I'm wondering. So it was only, and look, I kind of know like a bit of it. I had no idea that it was shown in theaters in like Canada and such. So it was only HBO in the US.
Only HBO, as far as I know, at this current time, because history, it could, you could figure stuff out later on. But as far as I know, at this time, it was never shown in theaters in the United States.
See, I'm wondering too, because if they showed it around the world, granted HBO in the US, theaters in Canada, like, and granted, Rock and Roll Party in Tokyo morphed into what became Alive 2. There's a couple of things that were pulled from that.
Oh,
Like,
was there? I wonder if that's in the documentary.
listen, we did not have a powwow or anything before recording on anything, so hope I didn't spoil too much. But
No,
like,
I've shown, so only 3 people have seen the movie right now, and it's still in work print form. So 3 people have seen this movie, and they learned stuff that they never knew before watching this.
yeah, I'm gonna feel so bad for like, because I'll be at the premiere and like my girlfriend's gonna be next to me and I'm just gonna be fucking nerding out the entire fucking time. Look at that bomb ass poster. Also, who designed that poster, by the way?
Man, I'm gonna butcher his name because he was this awesome Japanese fan and artist who actually did this. He did this design for me, I think, almost 3 years ago, because sometimes things move slower than you want to. But his name is Nobuya Tamaki. He's the
Awesome.
one that actually drew this, and I'm glad that I'm finally able to use it. So if you come to the world premiere of this on November 8th at Swan Castle Cinemas in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, you can get one of these. Now, here's the unfortunate part about this. This screening is not open to the public. You just can't walk off the street and come and see this. This screening is mostly just for family, friends, and cast and crew. So it's going to be something really, really cool, something really, really intimate. But to all the people that go, get one of these.
That's right. If you're in the inner sanctum, as they say, you will
Pretty
be there.
much, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm freaking stoked to attend it and check it out for myself. Like I said, I'm going to feel bad for my girlfriend because I'm just going to be nerding out over just finding out all kinds of weird minutia. And she's like, okay, cool.
Well, she could sit there in the dark, and she could play with a glowworm or whatever it is. I don't even know what do they collect now, or she could play with one of those. I don't even know.
Are there any like major revelations in From Tokyo to You as far as fan testimonials and as well as unseen footage?
There is some unseen footage in here. There is footage that you've never seen before in here that you've always wanted to see. It is in this documentary. Pictures you've never seen before, stories you've never heard before, all in this documentary.
Wow.
I hate that it does that.
Yeah, I know.
So silly.
I've seen that pop up from time to time on my end. It's so weird, but nah, it's gonna be great to see. Wasn't it like a little bit of what looked like silent 8mm footage in the trailer?
Oh, really?
Was
Maybe.
there? Was
Maybe.
there? Dude, because when I
Maybe.
saw like that little segment, I was like, oh shit, like this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, things that you've always wanted to see are going to be in this documentary.
Dude, this is gonna be
And
great.
I got something else to tell you too. I secured legitimate licenses for unseen footage. So when you see stuff that you've never seen before, I've actually secured legitimate license to
You
show.
went through the right sources.
That's right. The actual owner of said footage, who was with Kiss in Japan, gave me permission to use this footage
Now,
that
is
you've
this
never seen before.
now? Okay, so this is for the unseen footage. Did
Mhm.
you? And this could be a hairy type thing. You had mentioned that there's not much concert footage. Like, are there clips from the Budokan shows in the film?
Yes, this is still going to fall under, I believe it falls under fair use
Yeah.
news reporting and research, because the focus is not concert footage. You're not going to see full songs here. You're going to see just little bits and little pieces
Yeah.
mixed in throughout. So 80%, or maybe even close to 85% of the footage is footage that's either licensed by me or owned by me from interviews that I've done.
Of course. Interesting.
This is a completely different animal. So, not to slight any of the previous work that I've done, but I was basically taking, just footage and cobbling it together in a new way and creating a story. This is a complete brand new documentary, a complete original work, and a complete story that I'm able to tell.
It's interesting. Do you think that your style of how you approached From Tokyo to You will be the basis of what you do in the future? Like, do you feel that there's other Kiss stories that need to be told in this style?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I probably need to take a break after this. I've been working on this almost every single day since February. So, I really need to take a break.
I
So,
understand. I get it.
this might be the final one, but I've said that before. This might be the final one.
Just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the show that obviously we were talking about, the HBO thing, is Budokan 77. There was an afternoon show and an evening show in April of 77. Regarding that footage, and this is where we're going to kind of get into some weird minutia. In your opinion, because you're a collector, video, what do you feel is the best rendering of that footage? Would it be like the NHK reels? Would it be the HBO cut, Kissology, whatever circulates in bootleg circles?
Well, it's not Kissology, I'll tell you that. Kissology was just so dark.
The black levels are so just brought down. It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, probably the versions that were circulating on that CD Japan. No, it wasn't CD Japan. There was a Japanese website that was selling master versions of that was basically the best versions that I've ever seen of those shows.
Now, master as in like master, or like
that's what they called the series. Take it for what you will.
Okay, but does it look it?
Yeah, it looks the best that it's ever looked.
Wow.
So find that version of the show. It was on a Japanese website for sale for years and years and years.
Really?
So that was always the best one, in my opinion.
That's awesome. Now, I'm curious, too, that reel that you show, the copy of Rock and Roll Party in Japan. So, obviously, for the film, you got it properly transferred and everything.
It's in the film.
Now, Now, would you say your copy that you have right there? Because obviously the album, the live album, has circulated for a number of years. I have a vinyl copy in my
Almost 3
collection.
decades.
Would you say like your copy that you have on that reel is the best sounding, or I'm curious because I'm a big audio bootleg guy and I love.
So if you're such a big audio bootleg guy, I'm curious as to why you bought that on vinyl, because you know it
Listen,
came
I
from a
know
cassette
you have
tape.
your stance. Listen, we all have our vices, okay?
It came from a cassette tape. So it was taken from a reel to a DAT tape to a cassette tape, from a cassette tape to a CD to the computer, back to the vinyl. So why'd you do that?
Because it's pretty packaging.
Right. Exactly. So basically, yes, this is the best it's ever sounded. When it originally started circulating, more than half of the tracks were damaged and they had oxidation damage on. So you heard a lot of
I've
high
heard
pitched
that
skipping. Yeah.
that issue appears on my copy. It's during I think Ace's guitar solo.
No, it's for more than, go back and listen. More than half of the songs have it in there in one point or another. The end of I Want You, it's there. During Beth, it's there. During Rock, it's there. It's horrible. And people have done trickery to try and remove it. But let me tell you, every single copy that I've heard has it. This copy does not.
Does not.
Also, I'll tell you another thing.
Yeah.
I don't know who transferred the original copy back in the 90s. I have no idea. I mean, well, maybe I do. Maybe it's in the movie. You watch the movie.
Okay.
But I can tell you that the original transfer of this was done at the wrong speed. It was slightly too fast.
Oh.
So, and then this copy, because it had the tones with it, the tones, you were able to get your reel to play at the right speed. And because it had that, this one is at the right speed. So everything that's been out there for the last 30 years has been slightly too fast. This one is not.
Interesting. And then I assume, this might be a dumb question, does the real McCoy master copy exist in Kisses or Universal's vault?
It's probably got to. I mean, this is just a copy of it, as you can see.
Yeah.
But it's got to. But this sounds just as good. Or probably.
I mean, look, obviously audio copyrights and everything, that's a whole other hairy thing. On top of, like, you know, when it comes to video, fair use, etc., that little reel could make a good soundtrack accompaniment.
Yeah, it could.
It truly could. It
could
truly
be a great
could.
Record Store Day release, right?
Dude, for years, you know, it's funny. We're recording this today. The Black Friday list had dropped, and I was hoping, just because there's the murmurings of an Alive set, which has of yet to be unleashed. Nothing is known for sure. Again, Kiss is never represented. And I understand, like, you know, I've heard other people say that are in the circles, you know, it's not enough return on investment, but it's a buzzkill. It would make a great RSD piece. Or you can just go to Kiss Online and pay $120 and get a cool jersey or something.
I'm going to pass on that. But yeah, so the story of this is in From Tokyo to You.
Awesome. I'm a sucker, like I said, for all things bootleg, audio, whatever, and of various quality too. I mean, whether it's soundboard, radio, audience, great sounding or shitty sounding, I cannot wait. Now, obviously, you have been working your ass on this for a long, long time, and obviously a well-deserved break is needed. But have you thought of any possible ideas for projects down the pipeline? Or are you just kind of waiting to get through this, go on vacation mode, and just see what comes up?
Yeah, I'm going to get through this and see what happens after that.
Okay.
And it may be nothing for a long time. It may be nothing for a long time.
Now, just to kind of break beyond the Kiss talk, are there any other artists or bands that you kind of have the same level of fandom with that you
Sure. There's a band out of Dallas, Texas called Flicker Stick. I've been doing all their social media videos for the last probably 2 years.
Nice.
And so I'm a huge fan. They're doing a documentary. There's actually a filmmaker in Dallas that's doing a documentary on them. So that'll be cool. But no, I mean, this is something that I've been passionate about for years, and this will be, when this finally comes out, it'll be something cool for people to enjoy.
That's absolutely awesome. Before we wrap up, where can people find you? Drop your website. Where can people catch the film?
AndrewSgambati.com is where everything is. So you can find me there. You can send me an email there. All of my works are available on there. They're also on YouTube. So, but you can view AndrewSgambati.com. What's going to be cool about that is there's a brand new version of AndrewSgambati.com that's going to be launched on November 11th, which is the release date of From Tokyo to You. And it's going to be truly interactive. We're going to take it back to the internet being interactive, where you're going to be able to see clips that were edited out of the movie, left on the cutting room floor. You're going to be able to see promotional materials. You're going to get to see documents. So it's going to be a truly interactive experience on the website. It's going to kind of be like it was its own little DVD. So there's going to be a ton of great stuff in there that you're only going to be able to see on andrewsgambati.com. But the movie will be literally everywhere on November 11th.
That's awesome. I cannot wait. And once again, Andrew, thank you for taking the time to promote the film here on my series, Council of the Elder. And also thank you for the invite. I will be there to check out the premiere. And of course, I'll be spreading it around once it makes its online debut. I am absolutely stoked for this. And I have a feeling it's going to be your best work, man. Seriously.
I hope so. I really, really do. I've worked very, very hard on it. And as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go back to working on it.
Fuck yeah, man. Dude, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. So there you guys go. That is the 7th episode of Council of the Elder, where Andrew Sgambati talks about his new Kiss fan film, From Tokyo to You. If you have suggestions on future episodes and who to have involved in this series, please shoot me a comment down below. I'd love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.